I just remember speaking Spanish to the Latina girls because it was in Reading. And
Oh, papi.
that's right. I was there. I was more excited to practice my Spanish than I was to see the tatas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I actually, every time I start one of these and we have someone in here, I ask them if they remember where we met. You remember where we met? I don't remember where we met.
I was telling your producer that I went through a couple episodes last night, and then the first question you ask everyone's like, where we meet?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, where did Jay and I meet?
I don't recall.
I think we just met like at an open mic maybe a couple of times, and then that's just over meeting in comedy like that.
I feel like it was a lot of because I feel like I saw a lot of your stuff on social media too. Because you have a podcast, and you guys wear like goggles. Isn't it like somewhere you wear?
Yeah,
goggles?
we just wear sunglasses the whole time. We're just like, what's good?
That's great. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I do remember because I think that's the beauty about social media. Like when I first started comedy, and I'm out in the suburbs. You know, you see everybody on the Philly Comedy Network, and a lot of times, like, I went to a lot of different schools as a kid, so like I just sit back in the cafeteria and like am a wallflower and watch, and you know there was a lot to watch. So it was cool when like the first time Helium had Philly's Funniest, I would go down and watch them, and then all of a sudden it was like seeing all these people live that I would only ever have saw through their social media posts. And that's, I think, what's kind of interesting about social media is because, like, now you feel like you know more people than if it was just how many times you've stepped into Helium or how many times you've stepped into Grape Room Mike. Then you know you might not know. It'd be a weirder experience. But yeah, I think it was just social media.
Yeah, I think probably social media.
And then, like a couple. Did you ever go to Grape Room? Was Grape Room one that you used to go?
Yeah,
to?
I went there like a handful of times, but since I live in the city, I was just like, let me just go to the.
There's just so much there.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really want to take a car to Manayunk.
That makes sense.
When I could just go like down the block or something, you know?
I'm like, every time I have to take a car somewhere because I'm like doing 2,000 miles a month easy on the car. It's
That's
Prius
crazy.
though, 50 miles to the gallon. I actually, but my Prius has to go in the shop next week, so everybody say a prayer that the Prius is going to be okay. Because you know what happens? The check engine light came on 6 months after I paid it off. Like that's how it
so
always
bad.
goes. The minute you're like, oh, I'm in the clear, I don't have to pay a payment. And now it's like, no, but we're going to have a repair that would have been equivalent of those 6 months of payments that you didn't do. And they just want me to buy a new car. And I'm going to take it to the dealership, and they're going to run me over the coals.
Yeah.
But my local guy, because it's a Prius and it's kind of specialty, he's like, listen, it's not what it's kicking out. The code it was kicking out is something super specific to the Prius. So I'm like, all right, they got me.
Yeah. You need two things. One, does that thing run on olive oil? How does it run?
It does, yes. It and me both run on olive oil. It does. Believe it or not, it uses real gas. It's a real car. It's a real car. Sure. I just want to be a real boy.
And two, get a Honda, dude.
A Honda? Really?
Honda Civic.
Honda Civic?
Rest of your life, you'll have that car.
I'll have that car. All right. Do I have to like soup it up like with like a fin on the back?
No, you're a dad. You don't need to do all that.
I'm midlife crisis era. This might be exactly what I need.
Okay, then drop it low.
Drop it low. Oh, it'll drop low, buddy. Don't you worry. It'll drop real low. That's
Okay, get suspension on the one side really strong.
Really strong. Yeah, well, we were just talking before we got started because you came here on a motorcycle.
Yeah. It was great, except the fact that it started raining on the way here, and then it got dry on the way like later in the ride, so I felt like I went through a whole washing machine cycle.
And you said it was a Honda Shadow, which is crazy because I had one motorcycle in my life, and it was a Honda Shadow that I got out of like we used to have what we called it the paper shop. It was like just Craigslist, but like in print. And I had this era of my life when I was probably right out of college. And I spent the summer home because my mom had like a hip surgery, and so I was going to be with her. And I was like, it'll be economical because then I'll get a motorcycle. And like I fell a couple times on it. Like one time I was coming out of this turn off the turnpike into the town, and I slid into third base. Like I just tipped it, went right into almost in this building inside.
Damn.
And then I pop up, and then I see a cop car coming down. I didn't have my license. I never got my license for it. I just had it.
Oh.
And so then this cop comes, and I pull the bike up because I'm like, get the bike up. because I didn't want it to be like an accident
Yeah,
report or
yeah, yeah.
anything. And so I get it up, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and then the cop slows down and rolls his window down. And I'm like, oh no. And it was a kid I went to grade school with, who I was like friends with that I hadn't seen in years, and it was him, and he was just busting my balls. So it was like I thought I was getting pulled over, and it was this kid that I couldn't even believe was a cop. I don't know if you ever meet people that became a cop, and you're like, you became. His goal in life was to first go to clown college, and then he wanted to be a professional wrestler, and he settled on cop.
Yo, that's where I sometimes know society is failing as a whole, because if you know the dreams of cops and then they're like cops, you're like, you're protecting me. No.
Oh, watch out because teachers aren't that far behind.
I know.
I was one of the few where I was like a purist. Like I wanted to be a teacher, but most people, it's like where broken dreams go to die. It's like, oh, those who can't do teach. I've wanted to be a teacher. I just didn't know what the heck I was going to teach for the longest time. I had no idea what I was going to do. How was that for you when you were going? Did you always know what you were going to?
No. When I was little, I wanted to be a WWE wrestler,
Yes.
but I was a vegetarian, so I was not like I just would imagine sizing myself up to like the Undertaker, and I'm like, I've never eaten a burger.
we used to. So that kid that was the cop, it's so funny. We used to in his backyard. He had a trampoline, and we would create because there was nothing going on in our town. We created our own. WWF. For us, it was WWF because it was before the.
Oh yeah, the World Wrestling Federation. Yeah.
It was because then the World Wildlife Federation they were duking it out, and the polar bears won that match.
Hell yeah.
But we used to reenact it. So like on Friday nights, people would come to my buddy's house, and we had a ring. We had like an announcer. We had storylines.
I love that.
People wrote storylines, and like I was Mr. X, two-time champion. Thank you. Hold your applause. And then the news, because the neighbors would call the cops on us all the time for the noise. But like nothing else was going on in the town. Like, what did you want? Us going out like selling drugs and stuff? Like we're just here doing drugs. We're not out selling drugs. We're here doing. No, it was wholesome. Like we were all wholesome. There were no drugs or any alcohol. But like, and his parents were there, and his mom was a nurse. And the news came and did a story on us about how we were just trying to like be kids, and these neighbors kept calling the cops, and they let me like. There's B-roll of me doing like wrestling moves on one of the kids. Who looked like he didn't eat meat in his life either. He was really easier to throw. But I can't. That was like such a, and that's why my buddy wanted to go into wrestling for the longest time. And I was like, it was fun on a Friday night, but I couldn't imagine the career of being a. I mean, you see these guys. Like apparently last night at Soul Joel's, Maddie Smith was there from Wild and Out.
Yeah.
And somebody in the front row was like a amateur wrestler, and she had him come up on stage and like do wrestling moves. But I was like, that's a real job. I have a former student right now, a guy named Dan Stofko, that's like out in the circuit of like trying to get into.
That's intense.
It's crazy.
Have you seen the movie Iron Claw?
Is that the one about the brothers?
The three brothers with Zach?
Not.
Okay, look, I don't get emotional during any movies because I was raised by immigrant parents. I have a stone cold, hard dad. I saw that movie. I'm not saying it to the camera, but there might have been one tearjerker that came at the end of the movie where I was like, oh. Like the whole movie is based about this dad. He was a wrestler. Then he wanted all of his kids to become wrestlers. But throughout the movie, one of them, like all the brothers almost died, right? Like they did die, not almost. Like one died because he had like a heart attack, internal bleeding. One died because he couldn't like live up to his dad's dream, committed suicide basically. And at the end of the movie, Zac Efron's with like his sons because he got out of wrestling and shit. And he's like watching his kids, and I might even tear up right now. It's like so fucking emotional. It's like the son comes over like, Dad, like what's wrong? And he's like, I used to be a brother. And it's like, oh no.
Dude, I felt the same way. I didn't watch that movie, but now I kind of want to.
You have
The wrestler with Mickey Rourke, because like that to me was like. It was like realizing Santa Claus wasn't real and that he was just like he was like the guy from Bad Santa, and it was like so sad, and like so watching that was emotional for me too, because I looked up to these wrestlers. Like in Scranton there was a place I used to go to for after school called the CYC, Catholic Youth Center, and they would host the WWF events, and I would like go with my grandfather and try to sit like second row, idolize these people, and then you see these stories, all the A&E biography shows, like heartbreaking watching what these guys go through. One, to get into it, and then what happens to them after it, like the NFL players, like with the CTE nonsense. Like I mean, you got to be careful. You never want to meet your heroes. You got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I mean, I promise you, no PE teacher at a middle school is ever worried about these. Like, so it's a safer bet. Just dream and then settle.
Yeah. You'll live longer.
You'll live longer. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, wrestler. That was the dream. I was baseball player and wrestler were two I really wanted. And then my parents weren't really like too on me about like on that. We're having immigrant parents.
Yeah.
Big
Well, I
into
wanted
you?
to be a marine biologist, and then my dad was like, "What? You're going to play with fish?" He's like, "Are you gay?" I was like, "No." So then had to become an engineer.
Engineer.
Yeah. Well, my sister did fashion design, so they were like, "Oh, we're not going to screw up with this second one." They're like, "You're gonna do something."
You're gonna do something. Well, you joke about that in your act too. I've heard you talk about your mom and becoming an engineer.
Yeah. I mean, the night I graduated, she literally, instead of saying congratulations, was like, "Go get your master's now." And I was like, "Come on, you gotta let it even breathe a little bit. Right. Come on now."
Right. That's like at our wedding, they were like signing a petition for grandkids on the cocktail napkins. I'm like, yo, let it breathe for a minute.
I was like, "Come on, mom."
That's one thing about parents that I think too. I wonder about myself now because what am I pushing on my kids? You know, like I try to be really cognizant of that, but sometimes you become your parents and you don't even realize it's happening. Like I have like certain things that I see them doing and I can feel my body having a visceral reaction and I'm fighting the urge to say what my mom would have said to me. And it's like, you have moments where you're like, oh my goodness, 'cause you don't have kids, right?
No.
One day or what are we thinking?
Yeah, I mean, if I find the right lady,
you're pretty, you're pretty young, I would say.
I'm 31.
31.
Yeah, I should look, I should have had a wife and some free child labor to work at the Dairy Queen by now. But my mom is really mad at me, and she's like, I don't know, for some reason she's like, "You need to have kids before your dad turns 70," which he turns this year. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? It's like we're there's not 9 months in between. Like, should I
That's
just
right.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. Just go out there and impregnate women? Like, I don't know.
They want it so badly. Well, where's your sister at with having kids?
So she just got married like last year, and but she's 7 years older than me, so like she's gonna still have them, but like it's like she hasn't had them yet, and like
well, I think the pressure should be on her. Like, let's get the
yeah. But it's like that thing, the fashion design thing, and then this one's an engineer, so like she's doing her like my sister's like really cool. She's like goes out and like hikes these mountains across the world. She's like really like
she's like, she doesn't want to give up that. She's like, I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, hey, you pump out some kids.
Yeah, it's like trade in that motorcycle for a minivan. Let's start cranking them out.
I'd put a baby seat on the back.
Does it have to be an Indian woman?
Well, I had an Indian girlfriend for 7 years, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is locked in."
This is
it.
it.
And then she didn't really like all this stuff, the comedy, the podcasting. You know what I mean? But my mom still has a list of last names that she's like, "Oh, Mehta, Patel."
Your last name's Patel. I'm like the Smith of the Amish people. Patel's like the Smith of the Indian people.
And I'm like, "Yo, mom, like right now I'm seeing a white girl," and she's like, "Oh, here we go again."
That's great. Have you ever introduced a non-Indian girlfriend to your parents?
I feel like maybe they have come to the Dairy Queen as a customer, and I'm like, let's play this out. You know what I mean? Let's see how they take you. I'm like, this is my friend from school.
And we're just here to get a quick sundae, and then we split.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna banana split out of here. It'll be fine. Dairy Queen. So that was the franchise.
Yeah, that was what we did. The DQ, the fucking curl on top.
That's a solid one. I feel like I would like that over any of the other cliched of like 7-Eleven and Dunkin' Donuts. I would think. I mean, Dairy Queen. You not only that, but then you have all the food. You got chicken tenders. You got burgers.
We didn't do the full food menu because ours was in Plymouth Meeting Mall. Oh. But we did hot dogs, pretzels, and
then all the classic.
Maybe we did barbecue sandwiches up front for a little bit, but then we said
it wasn't.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, it wasn't. Play the hits.
Yeah. And honestly, I used to do a bit about like how like if you would rank all the typical Indian franchises in a caste system. You know what I mean? Like, I would say Dairy Queen and Indian-owned strip clubs are at the top.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because, like, first of all, like, okay, the Indian-owned strip clubs, we're just doing community service to our people from within. Like, just keeping all the creepy Indian uncles out of your DMs, and we're hoarding them. You know, we're doing society a favor.
And so these are not only Indian owned, but like Indian like strippers as well.
You know. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Does it have to be?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay, it doesn't have to be. That's good. Okay.
Yeah. The joke never went that far. We never.
That's right. I was like all inclusive. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah. We got all whatever your taste is. Whatever will keep your uncle here and off the streets. We'll get it for him.
That's great. That's funny. I had a buddy who we used to have a club by us called Super Dads.
Yeah.
And my one buddy, if you ever had to he was always just his dad. He lived with his dad, and if you ever had to ask him if he could come hang out, it was before cell phones, so we would have to call the local bar or Super Dads to find out if he was there to see if he could stay over or come over.
That's so funny.
It was like Bart calling Moe's Tavern just to find Homer, kind of philosophy. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, it's so funny pre-cell phones, the kind of weird stuff. We have to go to the yellow pages, and then we'd have to find Super Dad's number. And then we'd have to call and see if his Super Dad was there.
Or just show up to Super Dads.
Oh, dude. That place looked like, I just couldn't imagine. Then finally, when I turned 18 at midnight, we went. And I just remember, I'm like, oh my God, am I allowed to do this? And you're like, open. It looked like, I don't know, it looked like a basement was a house. Like, I don't know. It's just, and then you walk through the one door, and then there's another door, and then there's a big bouncer checking your ID. And I'm like, and then you get in there, and you're just like, oh, it's women who I don't know with like half their clothes off. I'm like, I was like, I don't know. I'm supposed to like this. I don't know, because I feel like the allure of girls at that age, like when you're like younger, it's like girls it's like girls you went to school with. Like that's like what's most enticing, or a celebrity that you wouldn't have thought. But like no, it's just like somebody else's stepmom who should be working at Applebee's, but is here instead.
To be honest, strip clubs don't even impress me now. Like I need a little bit of tension. You know what I mean? You go take me to a strip club and there's a pair of titties up there. I'm like, yeah, great.
I haven't been. My bachelor party was probably the last time I was in a strip club, and that was my anniversary is coming up, and I should know 14 years. So it's been like 14 years and like 6 months since I've been in. And it was a funny story because like my buddies, I had like two groups of friends at that part. I had all the people I went to like high school with or college with, and then all of the teachers, like all the like divorced dads from the social studies department, all in a stretch Hummer. And they like found a club that apparently was BYO. Like you could bring your own stuff in. And then one of the college kids got kicked out because he like had to pee so bad from pre-gaming that he went around back and peed by a dumpster. And kicked us out before we ever came in.
Oh, I love that.
So we had to go to one, and then everybody else was pissed at him because then we had to go to another club where you actually had to buy drinks, and everybody was planning on not spending money on that. But I don't remember any of that. Yeah. I just remember speaking Spanish to the Latina girls because it was in Reading.
Oh, Papi.
That's right. I was there. I was more excited to practice my Spanish than I was to see the tatas. Yeah, but that was, and then I just wanted to go back to my home bar in Pottstown, and because I actually proposed because I'm a romantic at a bar.
Oh man, maybe that's why the marriage failed.
That's right. Has it failed? Do you know something I don't know? No, actually, my wife. It was where we used to play trivia, and I had the best plan laid out. I was gonna recreate our first date and like the places we went to. And but then like my brother-in-law, who had only been seeing my sister-in-law at that point for a few months, told me that he was going to propose, and he told me he was going to propose, and it was literally the day before I was going to propose. But I didn't tell him. I didn't mention it to anybody. I just kept it to myself. Right. And so since he had publicly told the family, I can't be like, yeah, no, I was planning on proposing the day after. Like they're going to be like, no, you weren't. And so then I had to like go back to the drawing board. I had to let a few months pass. And so my wife was pissed because we had been together for like 3 years at that point. And her sister had been with like two other guys prior to that at that point. So like there was like, because it was a long time for an engagement. These guys had only been there. Now they're happily married and they're perfect for each other. But like, but it was just funny because I had to go back to the drawing board after having this whole plan of like proposal. And so what I did was we did trivia. And so the guy let me do a round of trivia, and that was question number 10. So it was like a way to get our friends and family there without it looking suspicious.
Yes.
And then it became a giant party, and I didn't tell her, so she had to go to work the next day. And I had already called out of work because I knew it was going to be like a shit show. And it was Jack Cassidy's in Pottstown, which was like, I don't know, it was just a cool bar. It was like, so it wasn't super romantic, but I felt like I was so nervous. I was trying to ask the other 9 questions of trivia, and everybody at the bar was like, why'd you let this guy do it? He sucks. And they're like, just give him a second. He said, give him a second. Because like halfway through, my mom walked in, and like she didn't live anywhere near us. So I'm like, if she comes in, it's gonna be a dead giveaway. So I'm like trying to push her out the door while read question number 5. But, you know, you'll find a lady one time and you'll get to propose over trivia. I recommend it.
Oh, hell yeah. Nah, I'm going to take her skydiving and just propose in the air.
Oh, and then you're going to land on your motorcycle and just...
And if she says no, I'm going to tell the guy, don't pull the chutes.
That's great. I should do that.
Goodbye.
Yep. Well, whoever future Bavik's girl is, just remember this right now. That's cool. Are you on the apps?
I'm actually, I was on, but I'm seeing a chick right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, your brother's got some game. Come on now, Jay. Don't do that to me.
I couldn't imagine the apps. I will say, by the time I met my wife, I was like trying to just go to school every year and meet a teacher, and it wasn't happening. Every year when we had new teachers coming in, they all had rings on their finger. They all were engaged. And so, like, eventually, there were no apps yet because we didn't have smartphones, but I did join a website, and that's actually how I met my wife.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was on like pasingles.com. And I was so bad. I met a few girls before here, and you know, you would I don't know how it was on the apps now, but basically you would message them through the app for a while, then maybe exchange email and do an email or two, and then eventually you got to phone.
Yeah.
And then you talk on the phone, and then you'd eventually go meet them. But I'd be so invested in them, and then they wouldn't be like their photo or what I thought. And I invested so much time. So by the time I got to my wife, I had 3 of these weird exchanges. So like I immediately hit her up and said, "Let's go for coffee Thursday."
Yeah.
And it came off as like very abrasive, but I was like so at the end of my rope of like investing time and it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
And I was like, all right, well, we're gonna go to a place that has trivia, because I love trivia, obviously, but it had these like little playmakers, so it had trivia all the time. They were just running on the TV. So I'm like, that way, if she's lame, we can like play trivia.
Right.
And needless to say, we didn't play trivia. We sat and got a seat, and now 14 years of marriage coming up. So it'll probably be August 6th is our anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
So that'll be like a week after this airs. It'll be my anniversary.
Can I come to the...
Please.
What are you guys doing?
We're going on a cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Which is so funny because I was already on a cruise, as most people already know, and had a huge fiasco with Carnival. But I will say the cruise was awesome. That's why we ended up booking this one, because we loved the cruise. We just had a terrible experience getting off of the cruise.
Yeah, I saw a couple like some Facebook posts, and they gave you some money back or a voucher for the next one.
They gave us our money back, and then we gave it to another company that could promise us that they wouldn't do that to us.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we're going on Royal Caribbean now, and they actually have training. They're more autism friendly, and so they have specific plans for like they had a plan for us getting off, or like a time when we could get off altogether, because that was the problem. Carnival, they were just cattle calling everybody off the ship the last day.
Okay.
And it was just too much, because my daughter can sometimes get distracted and get lost, and we were just talking before, she's like a little bit of a eloper. She wants to go on adventures.
Yeah.
She loves Dora. And she's taking a little too
Nickelodeon.
Hard. That's right. I was like, GTA? No, I blame Nickelodeon. She's never once hit a hooker. You know what I mean? But I've seen her with a satchel and a Google Maps yelling, "Swipe or no swiping." But like they didn't have a plan. And then my daughter got off the ship, and then my wife got stopped because they said that there was a hold on her account. And there wasn't, but they stopped her. And even just stopping her, she now went into the sea of people. And now my daughter was off by herself. And it created a little bit of panic, because I was also off with my mom in a wheelchair, and my other daughter. So they didn't really help us all get off together as a family.
Yeah.
And it caused a little bit of chaos. Oh, it was no big deal. But in the end, we got our money back because they messed up big time. And I used my social media audience to help pass that along. So... So yeah, so I'm glad. But I think the Royal's gonna be great. But now like people are telling me like Netflix just dropped the show we were talking about that everybody's telling me about all these horror stories of like cruise ships. I'm like, I've been on a lot of cruises, so it doesn't faze me. But like my wife like is doom scrolling on like TikTok with all of the bad stories. Have you ever been on a?
I've been on a cruise once as a child, but now since I work in shipbuilding, like we actually just sent a ship out. Like we're building a series of these things called NSMVs. They're like National Security Mission.
You're better at building it than remembering it, right? Okay,
yeah. Well, I always just call it NSMV, and I never really think about the name. But it's basically a type of ship that they train like kids that are going to be in the Navy on, or like in maritime schools.
Oh.
And or it can be used as if there's like a Katrina or something, it can show up. It can take all the people in. There's like there's hospitals on it. There's like places to stay. There's like a gym. You know what I mean? It's like it's like a city in a boat.
I mean, you said gym, but is there a buffet? Let's get.
There's
to
a
the
buffet too.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
There's everything. There's everything you need on there. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, that's cool. That's so like you're built. I mean, these are mammoth. I always wondered how like
they're big. Yeah.
You have to put them together like Legos? Is that
exactly like
it?
Lego? So it's funny that you ask, because as a production engineer, I will tell you. You build these Lego blocks, and then you start assembling the Lego blocks together.
Yes.
And then once you reach a certain amount of ship, then you flood the dock, and it floats. And then you bring it over to the other side into a wet dock, and then you start finishing the rest of the assembly. That doesn't necessarily need water bottom access. You know what I mean? Because once you float it, you can't like get to like the thrusters or the rudder or shit like that. So that shit better be working while it's on its keel blocks. And then once it's over there, you can finish like the paint job and whatever, all that jazz.
Now, at what point do you get it inside the bottle?
That you're gonna have to ask Jack Sparrow.
But that's cool. I mean, because like it's like how you always wonder like, oh, how it's made. I'm just standing on a city, because this thing's gonna be like a city. We're on a one called Symphony of the Seas, and like it's got like the thing my daughter was like, she wanted multiple pools. I'm like, geez, like there's a big ass. This one has like 4 different swimming pools, like. One's a wave pool. I'm like, this is crazy. That's just one deck of this like 24 deck like.
Well,
shit.
Cruises are insane because like all the outfitting that goes into it, which is like just like anything that's not steel, and it's basically like when you look at like a bill of materials, like I just imagine some engineer like in his like cubicle being like, all right, we need 18 slot machines because grandma's gonna be getting hammered tonight.
That's right, dude. They even have a separate. This ship has a separate casino for non-smoking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. That's how detailed. There's an ice skating rink. On
Yeah, they're pretty wild. Like
there's an outdoor water like theater. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This you always see like the tube slides on that thing. I'm like, man, this is like it's insane. I mean, it's gonna be very overwhelming, but at the same time, we got a room with the balcony. I upgraded because we got that carnival money that we threw into it. So I'm
Papa.
like, let's upgrade, because my one daughter, she gets a little like overwhelmed with all the noise on the deck, so she can. And my wife just loves to read too. So like I can imagine them at least getting like a nice little ocean view.
Oh yeah.
And they get to just
see, now that's romantic. You got it in you. You know.
I know. My wife doesn't know this, but I did book the anniversary package. So like they're gonna decorate the room. And it's like I spent $100 for them to throw some magnets on the door. Let's be honest, but I want the thought, because it's gonna be the week before our anniversary. Because actually, when we get back, it's the 3rd, and our anniversary is the 6th. But it'll be good. It'll be nice. It'll be a nice little tree. I think there's like some chocolate covered strawberries.
Oh hell yeah, Jay! You're lucky there's a table between us. You know,
that her and my daughters are gonna enjoy while I go to the comedy show every night. Yeah. That's what's gonna happen. We'll do all the family stuff during the day, and then I'll drop them all off in the room, and then I'll go to watch every single comedy show on the cruise. Just because, one, I love comedy, but two, like I said, I'm trying to do reconnaissance on like, what are these comics like? Are they all like super hacky, just doing like street jokes, or are they like? I'm super curious to kind of see, because I know a lot of great comedians that also do cruise ship stuff, and I'm like, oh, that might be something fun down the road to add to the repertoire of comedy. And you said you would do that.
I would love to do a cruise. You know what I mean? Just fucking hanging out all day. Like, okay, so my boys went on a cruise like a couple years ago, and like Friday night they got so trashed that the one kid fell asleep in the auditorium. I guess they were just like checking it out, and then he fell asleep. And like I guess the comic, like he just was like scoping out the room, feeling the vibes, and he found Hoyson just passed out there. His name is Hoyson, and he just found him passed out there. So he's like, all right. And then the next night comes, and then Hoyson's like sitting up front, and he was like, he just opened up like, weren't you the guy that pissed yourself here last night? and the thing is, like, Hoyson has like diabetes, so sometimes like I don't know if this relates with, but he'll like pee himself sometimes. And then all of our friends were like, wait, you peed yourself in the auditorium? Like, it's like not like an abnormal thing. Like he does pee himself, and where everyone's like, wait, you peed yourself here? And then like for 15 minutes, Hoyson was just getting it because he just fell asleep here. So it's like
that's what I'm saying with some of those shows. I feel like a lot of times they have material, but I think a lot of it is the crowd wants to feel part of it.
Yeah.
So like especially on a cruise. So I feel like what I notice on the Carnival is it's super interactive. Like the comics start with the crowd, which I do a lot of times now too when I have a longer set. Like I'll go to every table in the room and like mess with people. Because people want to feel part of it, and so like sometimes you're breaking down that fourth wall.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably a lot of that, and a lot because you have all ages there. All depending on the show, you could have all ages there.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other animal. Yeah, because it is. And I got 5 minutes on the last one at the family friendly show. So the first time my daughters got to be in the room while I was doing comedy, which was kind of cool. But it is because you have so many kids there, and like they're gonna interact or they're gonna speak up, and you can't necessarily roast a 7-year-old.
Shut up,
right. But you gotta find a way. There's a great Colombian comic out of New York City. His name's Oscar Collazos, and he great dude, and he was just wrote a post about a similar situation where there was a kid in the audience, and the parents were embarrassed, but they were trying to bring him to the show because it was a family friendly show, and how it made him a better comic, trying to figure out how to incorporate him, and when he spoke out, and I'm like, it challenges you. That's why I want to do some. I've done one family friendly show, but I would like to do more. I think. If you can do that, oh man, have the kids involved. There's some great comedians that make it work. There's a guy, Steve Simone, he's from this area, but he lives down in Florida now. And like sometimes he'll come to Joel's and he'll do family friendly shows. And he cleans up because it's all anecdotes about stories about him growing up, and it made me think differently about things. I'm like, write a set about kids today versus what we were like, and just kind of play off of them, and then you can include them with but yeah, it's harder to do because it's so much easier to talk about your dick.
So for sure. I don't know. I think I would crush a family friendly show because the Dairy Queen is like over 16 years. Like I was a kid and then I was an adult. You know what I mean? Working there, and the whole time you have to deal with all ages. So it's like you learn to like joke around with like someone that's like 4 and 44. You know, and
you're
it's
right.
like
I think when I taught elementary for a while, and it was just 5th and 6th grade, and I was a special area teacher. So I only came in once, like, per class a week. So, like, I had to find ways to connect with them, and obviously through humor. And so it's just funny when it's unintentional versus now it has to be intentional. That's why everybody gets into comedy. Like, oh, I'm funny. Everybody tells me I'm funny. And then you get on stage in front of strangers who paid for a babysitter and paid money to be here. And now you have to be funny every 15 to 20 seconds. And you're like, oh, okay.
They're like,
a little bit more
monkey.
pressure. Yeah, a little more pressure.
Make me laugh. Now, one of the funniest things Dairy Queen taught me was like, all right, I would like, you give ice cream to a person. Like one time I went to a kid and I was like, here you go, little man, because he was little. He was a little guy. He was like, I'm not little. And he crossed his arm and didn't take the ice cream. So then his mom had to take it, right? So then I was like, okay, I learned. Don't call him little. So the next time I go to a little kid, I'm like, here you go, big man. He's like, eat the ice cream.
That's right.
And then a little girl came and I was like, here you go, big girl. And that's when I knew I fucked up. Because everyone, my sister, the parents, she wasn't even a big girl. I just was meaning it like she was like she was growing.
It's so funny, yeah.
And I was a child too. This is the problem. It's not like I'm a 30-year-old dude being like, here you go, big girl. Like I was also.
That'd have been weird. That'd have been infinitely weirder. Hey, you big girl. He's like, are you giving her ice cream or grooming her? What are you doing?
I don't know. So now that's what I learned. You don't put any size identifier on anything that has to deal with women.
Dude, it's
like, unless you're talking about her butt.
Right. But even in general, like I know we're in like the culture now, like Lizzo and all these, but like it surprises me. And I'm like, I wasn't always a big guy. I've been a big guy since the pandemic, and I just haven't But like, I've been funny how many comics, like, because they only know me as a big guy. But like, I had a guy come up to me one time before a show, and I forget what I was saying. I was saying something like, "Oh, I like this. And, I like, I don't know what I said, but he was like, "Oh, it's funny that a fat guy would say he liked that." And I'm like, I thought this guy was like a nice guy. And then all of a sudden he just casually said this to me. And I was like, who are you? And why do you think you could talk to people like that? Because it's true. I think nobody realizes when you bring up stuff like that with side, like you're like, you don't know how that person feels about not having eaten a hamburger, like a little vegan who can like, or a big dude that's like checking the chair to make sure it can hold him when he gets in there. Like you don't know those the battle that those are. So I think that's important too. Is like, people, even when I was teaching, I would sometimes roast a kid, and I thought it was okay. And I almost made a kid cry the one time because he was playing on his Chromebook a game he shouldn't have been. And I'm like, hey, man, you're not supposed to be doing it. He's like, oh, but Mr. Yoder, listen, it's like, it's a recycling game. So, like, I'm learning about recycling. And I'm like, you say this to me as if I care. And I said it so deadpan serious that he just started tearing up. And I was like, oh my God, I came in too hot. Like, this is like his teacher. Like, you can't be like, I came in like he was front row on his phone in the show, and I could roast him for a second. And I could see it in his eyes. And it's hard when you learn like those. Or when I first started teaching, I was showing them how to do the shake hands like a Roman, where you like kind of grab
by the
forearms.
forearm,
And I was like, and I was doing, I'm like, yeah, you can't have a girly handshake. And I'm like, oh, you can't say that in front of a bunch of kids. Like, tell them it's girly. It's just funny how you have to like sometimes censor yourself, which, you know, now as someone who's been teaching for 20 years, it's so easy. That's why clean for me was easy, because when I first started this whole comedy thing, it was like, it was like bowling league Tuesday night. You know? So it was like somebody could be there from my job, some parent, some kid, and if I'm saying something lewd or crazy, that's going to haunt me at work. All for what? If a free 4-minute set that I did on a mic for what? For that cost me money because I drove there and probably got a drink. So I think that's the only reason for me. So it'll be interesting to see for me as if I eventually stop teaching, which I think I will, then it'll be interesting to see how my comedy changes. I'm doing a show tonight called The Awful Truth. The premise. And so the guy basically, it's like, I guess you're telling sets about that are like, you know, tragedy. Comedy is tragedy plus time. So I guess it's like we're all telling like 10 or 15-minute sets about our life. And then there's, I guess, 30 minutes where we kind of do a panel talk about what we talked about or whatever. So, or riff on it. Maybe So it'll be interesting to find, because you talk a lot about, did you talk about stuff that's painful? Or
I mean, pretty much. It's all, you know what? People don't laugh at my jokes. I'm like, this hurts even more, because this is, I don't know how to write a setup punch. You know, I'll tell a story and then I'll listen to it. I'm like, oh, people laughed here. I'm like, these are my punchlines. But when I tell a new story, no one fucking laughs. I'm like, God, this hurts more than when my mom was actually beating me. I'm like, for 1 second, you guys are supposed to be the sickest people in society, and if you guys think this is tough, I can't just go tell it to normies. You know what I mean? Like, who am I supposed to tell this story to?
I was just listening to Veer Das was on.
Big Veer,
He was just on the good one. He was talking about his special that he did. Like, he did a taping in Mumbai, a taping in London, and a taping in New York. And he was talking a lot about the comedy scene in India and also just in general about like how like telling stories are, and like how like in India the comics really want a huge connection to the comic too. So I think stories always like, it's very endearing. I've been a lot of shows too where like, when you do that, you get a connection with the audience because they feel like they know who you are. Rather than just having some like Mitch Hedberg one-liners, which are funny and great, and he's iconic. But there's a difference when you connect through telling a story. Mike Birbiglia is a guy I love, and he's, very much that kind of style.
Of course.
Let me tell some stories and find where those funny beats are. You know?
I did a setup in Port Carbon for Albert Davis a couple months ago.
I love that place. I know you're at the port.
And I know I just talked about like my normal shit, just like, having back pain, the Dairy Queen, relationships. But then this was a time where I just like stopped doing drugs, so I was maybe like 75 to 100 days off doing drugs. And maybe the material itself wasn't too punchy, but I had this kid come up to me afterwards and he was like, dude, I related with everything. He was like, man, I'm going to come see you whenever. Like now, like that's like a hard fan I got. He like still DMs me like every now and again. Like, yo, that's bro, how you doing? When you coming back to Port Carbon, dog? He's like, I want to like, he was like, because some people went out. before me. And then, sometimes like comics have a little bit of a hacky thing that's like you've already, like, if you went and saw someone famous, you would see resemblance. But I feel like maybe my Dairy Queen stuff is the most hackiest stuff because like other Indian people have like a 7-Eleven bit.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is like I don't really hear an Indian guy out there talking about like, oh man, I had a drug problem and I still sometimes have a drug problem.
Yeah.
And this kid was like, dude, like I've been fighting sobriety for a little bit. And he's like, I hope we both make it. And I was like, bro, this is what we need. I have like 8 solid fans, and I'm like,
but you're right. Like when I talk about my daughter with autism, I was just at a show in Easton at a bar on a Tuesday night, and it was packed. There were a bunch of people out there. Joe Ferraro runs a bunch of like in Eastern.
Oh yeah, I know Joe. Yeah.
Great show. So it was a great show. It was packed out, and I, part of my set I did talk about my daughter with autism, and a guy after came out was like, oh, I love the stories about autism. Like I could tell that you really get it because I'm autistic, and he's like, I was a lot like your daughter, and we just had this cool moment after where he was like, sure, because I could kind of see, well, what's my daughter going to look like when she's like 30 years old or whatever. So it was kind of cool. And I love that. That's the part of it where I talk about my growing up with gay moms and stuff like that. And I had a woman come up to me once in Delaware and was like, my daughter just came out to me and we haven't been kind of talking a lot because I couldn't kind of see what a future would look like for her. And I could see that now. Like, you have those moments where you're like, as much as I want to make them laugh, if you can also give them something to leave with to think about, like that. I mean, I always used to leave movies, and whenever I left a movie theater, I was so amped up about my own life. I would leave there and be like, oh, I want to do better in my own life now. Like I enjoyed the movie so much, and now I want to go do better. And if I can do that, where people like are like, oh, I had a great time, and now I'm leaving here all amped up. I mean, that's great. Like if you could do those kind of things, and it's that's like, what Veer Das I think does.
Yeah, I think like to me, like that's the most important. Like I had coined this term a while back. It's kind of called like rowdy crowd theory, and it's like same thing when you're talking about leaving a movie and you feel amped up. It's like people that go to EDM concerts, once they leave an EDM concert, they usually feel tired, right? So like if you imagine a graph and you have a sine wave going, it's like you want to get people like hyped up on a good story, a good positive laugh, and then you want to bring them down kind of into like an emotional story, but you don't want to cross the x-axis to the point where they're throwing tomatoes or they're like, you said something racist and now you're getting in a fight with the audience. Now you want to do this repetition and amount of times, and for the amount of time you have over that set, and by the end they should be tired, like they should be exhausted, and that's when you had a good show. People are like, oh, because they want to come back. Like if you can make them tired, then they're like felt like they've been through something exhausting.
You've gone on an odyssey with you.
Yeah.
I think like Birbiglia does a lot of those, and I really enjoy it. I think that's great because I think that's an important. I think because it is. That's how life is. You want and you want to bring people on this roller coaster with you. So I'm looking forward to that tonight. I mean, obviously, I say tonight, but this will have been 10 days. It was amazing, by the way, in case you're wondering. It went so well.
He's actually on tour. He's made it.
Yeah. So, well, before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit, like just promote yourself. Where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is my camera. I realized because earlier I was looking at this one and I was like, why? And then I'm like, this is all rim over here. So my camera, what's good? You can find me on the gram, Good Times B, like the letter, not the insect. On YouTube, Bhavik Patel Comedy. I also have a podcast. It's called The Bhavcast. We're taking a little hiatus so I can edit all my stand-up I've been backlogging. But when I get it back, Jay Oder is coming on. Right. And it's pretty chill. And besides that, I got a lot of YouTube and IG pages, but if you go to those two, you'll find the rest. And there might be a secret fitness account somewhere in there, fucking.
I see you posting those thirst traps.
I'm trying to be thirsty for y'all because apparently sex sells and my hard work doesn't. So,
so check out his strip club. It's coming to a stripping mall near you.
Bob's Biddies, baby.
Bob's Biddies. That's great. We'll do. I really appreciate you coming.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll do a Roman shake too. There it is. I appreciate you coming.
Of course.
And you guys, make sure you check it out. Check out his stuff and like, share, do all the things for the algorithm you're supposed to do. And I'll see you when I get back from my cruise. Fingers crossed. All right.